These are previous year questions from optics chapter. These are all advanced questions. A ray of light passes through four transparent media with refractive indices mu1, mu2, mu3 and mu4 as shown in the figure. The surfaces of all media are parallel. If the emergent ray CD is parallel to the incident ray AB, we must have. So four options are given. We have to choose which is the correct one. Now you see here that this is the incident ray and this is the emergent ray. Okay, if incident ray and emergent ray are parallel and all are parallel slabs, the first refractive index and the final refractive index must be same. So option 4 is correct. We will apply individually Snell's law and see what happens. If you apply Snell's law for the first ray, what happens? Sin I by sin R1. You see this diagram? You have to draw a normal at this point, right? So this is I1 and R1. Okay, so sine of I1 divided by sine of R1 is equal to mu2 by mu1. Okay, so in simple language, if you say, you can simply write mu1 into sine I1 is equal to mu2 into sine R1. Okay, so this angle you are calling it as I1, so sine I1 divided by sine R1 is equal to mu2 by mu1. Okay, I'm calling this angle as I1. So similarly for refractive index of 3 with respect to 2 will be mu3 by mu2, going by the same logic, and this will be mu4 by mu3, refractive index of 4 with respect to 3. You multiply 1, 2 and 3, what is happening? A chain type of situation is happening, mu1 and then mu3 by mu2, right? And then mu4 by mu3 you are getting. So all these are getting cancelled and you are left with mu4 by mu1, right? Mu4 by mu1 is what is left, is equal to, you see the left hand side now, sin I by sin R1 into sin R1 by sin R2. Okay, so here the first and the last term will be remaining. Sin R1 will be cancelled, sin R2 will be cancelled, and you will be left with sin I by sin I. Because these two lines are parallel, see one line is like this, another line is like this, you draw a line like this, okay, between these two parallel lines. Obviously what will happen? This angle and this angle will be equal. Okay, so you finally going to get sin I by sin I, which is equal to 1. So you got mu4 is equal to mu1. You need to remember only one point, that if the emergent ray and the incident ray are parallel, the intermediate you can ignore. The first one and the last one refractive indices must be equal. It's a standard result. Two plane mirrors A and B are aligned parallel to each other as shown in the figure. A light ray is incident at an angle 30 degree at a point just inside one end of A. The plane of incidence coincides with the plane of the figure. The maximum number of times the ray undergoes reflections, including the first one, before it emerges out. So here a figure is shown. So this is the silvered part, this is the reflecting, this side is the reflecting part. Okay, this is mirror A and this is mirror B. So you have a incident ray, obviously this is the reflecting part, the ray cannot come like this. Okay, the ray has to come from this side only. It is coming at 30 degree, so it will be going at 30 degree only, right? So this is the diagram. So maximum length is given as 2 √3 meters. and after first incidence you are getting, let us say, some x. So what is this x? You can know this value of x. Tan 30 is equal to x divided by 0.2, but tan 30 is equal to 1 divided by root 3. So from here you are getting x is equal to 0.2 by root 3. You know the value of x. How many x's you can fit? How many x's you can? You will get one more x. You get one more x, right? Like that. So the total distance is, let us say, lambda 2 root 3. So you can write it as n into x is equal to lambda. So you have to find out n. It will be lambda by x. Lambda is given as 2 root 3 divided by x. X is 0.2 divided by root 3 means it will go up. So once you solve this, n will be equal to 2 into 3 divided by 0.2. This is 10 times. 30 reflections are possible. Okay, option B. Move to the next one. An observer can see through a pinhole at the top end of a thin rod of height h placed as shown in the figure. The beaker height is 3h and its radius is h. When the beaker is filled with liquid up to 2h, he can see the lower end of the rod. Then the refractive index of the liquid is. These are all basically geometry based questions. See, this is the beaker. Okay. The beaker total height is given as, see, this is the total height of the beaker. It is 3h. So there is a rod over here. Okay. Now this radius of the beaker is given as h. Obviously the diameter will be 2h. Okay. Now the water has been poured up to height of 2h. Water has been poured up to height of 2h, and one more stand is there here. So here what happens is, initially he is able to see this top, but because of this water, actually what happens is he is seeing the bottom of this rod as this point. This point, because of apparent depth and all that we have studied. So this point he is actually seeing it here. Okay. Now if you see here, we have to find the refractive index of this liquid. So we have to write the Snell's law. Okay. So first let us solve the geometry. If this is h, the total is 2h. So this height will be h. This height will be h. This is h. This is h. So this leftover height also will be h only. This leftover height also will be h. All right. Now the ray started from this point, making some angle of incidence, but because it is moving from denser to rarer, it will deviate from the more from the point, and it will refract and it will pass through this slit. So if you extend back, actually this point he is seeing as this point. Okay, if you extend back, this point is passing through this point. So first of all we need to solve the geometry. You see, this total is 2h. All right. So that means this half will be h. So this dimension will be h. This you have already known that this is h. So h by h, tan is 1. So this angle is 45 degrees and this is 90 degrees. So this total angle also will be 45 degrees. So R also will be 45 degrees. Okay. Now after that you need to write the Snell's law. Let us say this refractive index is mu. So you can write mu into sine I is equal to 1 into sine R. So mu will be equal to sine R by sine I. This is what, okay. But r 45 degree you already worked out, so it will be sine 45. Now for finding mu you need to work out this I value. So for sine I, if you look at this triangle MPB, you have I, so what will be sine I? Opposite by hypotenuse. Opposite is this value PB, it is H, okay. And hypotenuse will be, this total is 2H, so 4H square plus H square, it is root over 5H. So you are getting sine I as 1 by root 5. So once you have got these two values, so mu is equal to sine R is sine 45, which is 1 by root 2 into 1 divided by 1 by root 5. It becomes root 5 by 2. So the mu value is root 5 by 2. Option B is the correct answer. Let us see the next question. A rectangular glass slab ABCD of refractive index N1 is immersed in water of refractive index N2. N1 is greater than N2. A ray of light is incident at the surface AB of the slab as shown. The maximum value of the angle of incidence alpha max such that the ray comes out only from the other surface CD is given by. So you can see here that this is some liquid, all right, and liquid of N2 refractive index, and some glass slab of N1 refractive index is put inside the water like this, okay. Now there is an incident ray coming, and the incident ray should go like this. This is what he means, only from the surface it should go straight in the line of CD. So when it will happen, it should not enter here, it should come over here, hit and go like this, right? It should go like this. That means TIR should happen, total internal reflection should happen, then only it is possible, otherwise it is not possible. So at what angle alpha it is possible? That is what he is asking you. So as shown in this diagram, there is a point P, and here there are two surfaces are there, two refractive indices are there. So you can apply Snell's law twice, once at Q you can apply and once at P you can apply. So the ray is basically coming out like this, okay. So you have to draw the normal here, and this refractive angle is 90 degrees. So if you apply at P, you will get N1 into angle of incidence is sine C is equal to N2 into sine 90. That means N1 sine C is equal to N2. Now at Q you need to apply. If you apply at Q, you see alpha. So this region is N1, sorry, this region is N2. Yeah, inside is N1, this whole region is N1, right? So N2 in the same order you have to write. So N2 into sine alpha is equal to N1 into this angle, sine of 90 minus C. So this becomes N2 sine alpha to N1 cos C. What are we supposed to find? We are supposed to find alpha. So sine alpha will be equal to N1 divided by N2 into cos C, right? But here can we get the value of C here? We can get the value of C as sine inverse of N2 by N1. This is what is C we have got from this equation. So if you substitute that, alpha will be equal to sine inverse. So you have to look for the options now. So this option and this option is ruled out because it is looking some big equation. Sine inverse of, it is N1 by N2 into cos. But what is C here? C is again sine inverse of N2 by N1. This much is happening here, okay. So This is cos of, and finally you are getting n2 by n1. So this is the right answer. Okay, so some typical questions I have shown you. This is the approach you have to adopt for solving questions. Question on compound microscope. The focal lengths of objective and eyepiece of a compound microscope are 2 and 3 cm respectively. The distance between the objective and the eyepiece is 15 centimeters. The final image formed by the eyepiece is at infinity. The two lenses are thin. The distance in centimeter of the object and the image produced by the objective measured from the objective lens are respectively. See, the situation is like this. You have a objective lens and an eyepiece. Okay, so this is the axis. Now the distance between them is given as, if you take this distance, it is given as 15 centimeters. Okay, obviously eyepiece has got 3 centimeters as the focal length, and this has got 2. Objective is less. So he says that this eyepiece is forming image at some infinity, and where is the object placed and where is the image formed by the objective. So keeping this into account, you have to find where is the image and object. So we will go in a reverse direction. So basically Lens equation, when you apply, it is 1 by v minus 1 by u is equal to 1 by f. Using for eyepiece, you have to put the suffix eyepiece. Okay, so this is what is this equation. Okay, so image is told to be at infinity. You don't know the where is this image formed by the objective. You don't know, it is formed somewhere, let us say here. You don't know the position. You are measuring from with respect to the eyepiece. Let us call that distance as ue. Okay, so from this equation you are going to get ue value, which is minus 3 centimeter. Now the distance between these two is given as 15 centimeter, and this is 3 centimeter, let us say. So what is the balance distance? This is the 12 centimeter. And what is this distance? This is the distance of the image formed by the objective. Again we will use the same equation, 1 by v minus 1 by u equal to 1 by f, but this time we'll put the objective suffix. So here what do we know? We know this value, we know this value, so this can be worked out. So this is that equation. Okay, so from here you can find out the value of v. You have to find out, we know the value of v0, you have to find out the value of u0, which is coming out to be minus 2.4 centimeters. So minus 2.4 centimeters, and is the distance in centimeter of the object. So this option is there, this option is there, these two anyway are wrong. And he is asking you with respect to the objective, where is the image form. Just now it is 12 centimeter. So option A is the right answer.